Homegirls, happy Friday-dizzle. I'm actually recording this on Thursday the 28th, but this drops tomorrow, Friday. Something new, something light and different. I want to do this short episode called maybe a fun Friday, but low-key it's more like a fodonga Friday. Welcome to episode 28 of the Crees Muy Muy Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie. Welcome if you're coming from TikTok, IG, or just randomly found me. Thanks for your time. Te lo agradezco from the bottom of my black heart. Since the beginning, I told y'all that sometimes I'm gonna do a more lighthearted episodes. I didn't even realize until I was editing that my last episode was damn near an hour, so my bad on that. I don't ever want to make this podcast so heavy and serious. I just want to chismear, check in, be light with it. Something like you're driving to work and I'm just hella yakking to you while you're commuting, whether vas al trabajo, la escuela, al gym, lo que sea. Also, I'm not going to lie, I haven't been feeling the greatest. I've been kind of up and down. Se las barajeo, in all honesty. That's kind of what it is too. I didn't have it in me to do like a whole regular episode. So if you're listening to me for the first time, welcome. Go listen to another episode so you can get a full scope of who I am and what this podcast is about. If you are returning, welcome. Don't forget to follow TikTok and Instagram. And I know I keep saying this, but hopefully this weekend I'm going to start slowly updating on Instagram. I'm going to try to do a couple things here or there. Algo, I don't know, porque las tengo ya bien abandonadas. If you're following me on both pages, thank you. Or if you just follow me on IG, thank you so much. Go to TikTok because allá it's just different. It's just faster. I don't know if that makes sense to post. Okay, so with all that being said, this episode is going to be all over the place. The only script that I had was kind of for this little intro and some bullet points that I wanted to talk about. So ahí les va. And remember, this is a light-ass episode para acompañarlas cuando estés en el jale, en la chamba, or if you're cleaning and you just hear my random-ass voice in the background. So ahí les voy. So I already kind of mentioned why this episode is a little bit lighter, just because I haven't been feeling well. And I don't want to ever half-ass an episode because I've said this before and I know you guys are going to be like, dude, broken record. But es que también I kind of take into consideration that what happens if this is the first time that someone is listening to me and me escucho así como bien irritated or not really into it or así como muy forzado, and they're going to be like, I don't know if this is for me, right? And even after that, si le echo ganas, I don't know, that term sometimes annoys me, but if I just give it my all, there could still be some people are like, nah, this isn't for me. And that's fine. I don't get butthurt. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. So mentally, I've been up and down. There's still been a lot of frustration that I'm trying to work through because you guys would think that after having my illness for damn near 10 years, I would get a better grip of things, pero a veces se me hace difícil, but I'm still trying to get a little routine going. I feel like I'm stuck y que no puedo I don't know how to say this if any of you guys go through this, pero como que no puedo break that sensation of feeling stuck and frustrated. A mí me cuesta mucho la creativity to be creative when I post and ask questions and stuff. So right now I'm doing whatever is working for me. I don't know if you guys have been to the TikTok page. No sé si se han fijado that lately all of my posts have been text and it's crazy because they've been popping off. I'm not saying they're going viral hundreds of 100,000 views or millions tampoco, but for considering the size of my page, I've been getting a lot of traction and my growth has been steady, but it's been growing. So I appreciate each and every one of you who, even if you engage and you don't reply, that's cool. I really appreciate it. And that's what's just been working. Y también something too is that I am running out of B-roll. So for those of you who follow me on TikTok, no sé si se han fijado that all that stuff that I record, all that B-roll, the background y todo eso, those are mine. I guess there's websites que you can get B-roll. No, all that's mine. So all that stuff that you guys see of different buildings, that's when I went to Poland in the beginning of December. So that's when because obviously I went by myself. So that's cuando I did a walking tour. I did 2 different walking tours. I did one of I went to Krakow and I was there. And when I did the walking tour, I recorded obviously a lot. And then the other one was when I went to the old Jewish ghettos. That's what they're called. It's what it's called. Y grabé a lot of stuff. Y también tengo muchísimo B-roll from when I went inside the cathedrals, y'all. These cathedrals, damn, like I had to sit down and just like, it's hella overwhelming, but overwhelming in a good way. Like you're just like, even if you're not like religious or anything like that, or Catholic or whatever, like te sientas y dices, damn, like qué bonito está. And obviously this is gonna sound funny or not really, but I can't be like using that B-roll and then I'm hella cussing or talking shit while, you know, like no va. That's why in the Catholicism episode, it kind of matched in a way, you know what I mean? And then also too, no sé si se han fijado in like the ones that the very last B-rolls that I use inside the cathedrals. Sometimes I know it depends on like the way I edit it or like the font or the colors and stuff, but es que I have to make it darker, va a tapar the whole screen. You guys are not going to be able to see it. That's why I don't know if you guys have noticed that sometimes like the little logo is on the top. I do it on purpose para que ustedes puedan ver the video, and maybe some people don't care, but I'm trying to do it like me pongo a pensar about you guys. So for example, if it was like backwards, I would want to see the video, que es lo que estoy enseñando and stuff, you get me? So I have tons. I may or may not use it, no sé. But yeah, so that's why those texts have been working really well. Okay, otra cosa is that I came to the conclusion that I either need to get my ass a hobby or volunteer, but it's hard. And everything that I talk about in this episode, either I went through it, I'm going through it, or estoy saliendo out of it. So I've talked about in other episodes about how people, you know, talk about self-care y todo eso, but self-care isn't just about slapping on a mask and calling it a day. Yeah, that could be part of it. Pero también like people say, oh, get a hobby, or you know, for example, do Pilates or que el otro. When you are living paycheck to paycheck or you have supplemental income, you don't have a job or lo que sea, if you're in a budget, where the hell are you going to get $250, $210 to be doing that stuff? And I know because I found un post on Instagram and I saved it that talks about different ways that you can kind of like do really low cost hobbies or maybe even free. Como por ejemplo, eventos en la librería or parks or the city or the county or lo que sea. Those are great. Pero I think that right now, and I'm going to be honest with y'all, not with other people, just I have a lot of frustration right now. And I feel like, que ahorita, like, I don't know how to say this because I don't know if this is going to make sense, that estoy like frustrated and enfadada that I don't even know if like me even doing these things, I'm in a negative space in a sense, and I'm trying to get out of that the best way that I can. And I know some of you all are going to be like, no que la therapy, que esto y que el otro. Yes, I talked about this with my therapist, a couple weeks ago, and I said that sometimes, like, I mean, not weeks ago because I haven't seen her in a bit, but I've told her like one of the last times that we met, I was like, sometimes I feel como que I'm not failing, but I'm kind of like questioning, well, damn, if I'm going to therapy, how come I don't use the emotional tools that I have in my toolbox and stuff? And she straight out told me that sometimes, y'all, life is just lifing y las tú no te van a ayudar. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense and stuff. She goes, because we're human and it's okay. Like sometimes it's okay to feel frustrated. Sometimes it's okay to feel your negative emotions. But the point is que sepa salirte, don't just get stuck. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Anyways, so that's kind of where I'm at. Hopefully someone relates to that. Okay, so I wanted to talk about social media. So my TikTok page is growing, right? And I'm going to be honest with y'all. At the beginning, I was going to make the page private because I didn't want men to come into the space. Y no me quiero dar, I always say this, pero no me quiero dar importancia. I'm not an influencer, nada que ver. People don't even know that I exist. I do say I'm a content creator, but not like what you guys think it, like content creator, like I'm creating hella content, because I'm not. I'm just creating content in the sense of a podcast. And I don't know why I always feel like I have to give disclaimers, porque a veces las personas have a hard time with the concept of two things can be true at the same time. You know? So anyways, my bad. This is why I have a script all over the place. Anyways. And I wanted to create the space, the TikTok page, para que sea just privado, so we can talk about heavy ass stuff, para que you guys can feel like it's a safe place, pero not always be so heavy either. Sometimes it's okay, you guys, just to like laugh and fuck around and everything. And I'm trying to have a variation of that on the episodes. So, but then I'm like, no, well, if they see that, how am I going to build the page if it's private? So I was like, okay, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So I've talked about this before, that I got a very, very, very small sample of men coming into my page when I had posted about Cesar Chavez. Like I've mentioned this, that people were telling me to shut the fuck up, that I'm a white liberal, which is hilarious because I'm not white. And then people within the comments fighting, and you guys are gonna think I'm like hella dumb, but like I know it's common sense, but this is how, like, you don't know what you don't know. Y te tienes que dar. So obviously, like, if and I'm sure you guys know this, but it kind of como que me cayó el 20 hella quick. Eventually I was like, oh no shit, that makes sense. Because when there's a thread of people like fighting with each other or commenting to each other, I don't get those alerts, because obviously they're not replying to me anymore. They're replying to each other. So when there was a Cesar Chavez post, there was hella replies and I had no idea. And then empecé a mirar que, like, slowly it was overwhelmingly, is that how you say it, men coming. Shit, okay. And then ya no me gustó the vibe, because then de allí se estaban yendo, which I get the connection, but then de allí se fueron que a Donald Trump, que liberals, que Epstein files, que I don't believe her because she's a whore, que esto y que el otro. And I'm like, whoa. Part of me never wants to stop the comments, because I want the engagement, not for numbers, pero que la gente, that's the whole point of building community. But if the community is for a specific type of people or women, you get me? Now these men are coming in and ruining it. And yes, you're entitled to your opinion and freedom of speech and stuff. And I get it, obviously not freedom of consequences. But I was like, esto ya es mamada. So then I debated it. And then I'm like, no, because then someone's going to come and think, no aguanto vara. And that's why she turned off the comments. But then more people were telling me to shut the fuck. I dije, no, this is how I can control it. Y facatela. I turned off the comments. So then I was like, okay, like I slowly get a sense of how social media is working in a sense. So then I had posted, because not that long ago, I celebrated that I was at 4,000 followers, which is crazy. Thank you to each and every one of you. So then I went on TikTok and I had posted because I wanted to this conversation. And here's the crazy thing, is that people on social media no ponen atención, and I'm included in that, but I try to be better at reading the whole post, right? Because hay personas que no ponen atención, and people are being sarcastic and they're attacking the creator, y esto no ponen atención. So then I don't know if you guys have noticed that all of my posts, I start with first gen Latinas, because this is obviously the demographic I'm talking to y'all. And I'm not saying that you have to be a first gen Latina to reply or engage, but this is who I'm talking to. But it's open to any women, not men. Pero it was interesting because I had posted on the 19th, which was last Tuesday. I put first gen Latinas, hot take, but not really. It's okay to gatekeep some of our cultura. Not everyone should be invited to their carne asada. And then, of course, I had a typo. Instead of cultura, I put culturea. But I didn't catch it because I was just trying to do it fast. And then when you pick the little text box or whatever, y'all, I don't know why I feel like I'm yelling. So when I picked the text box, a veces que TikTok te escoge like the colors and everything. And I put a little piece of like, I think like of meat. It looked like the Flintstones. Anyways, como dibujan the little piece of meat, right? And that's what I put. And sometimes these text type of post duran un chingo to get traction, which is fine because I posted it, I think later towards at night, just because I wasn't feeling well and stuff. And I'm trying to be consistent, and I haven't missed a day of posting, even if it's like 11:55, because when I've taken some like courses and stuff, and I'm learning as you go. And it's supposedly that TikTok rewards you. I'm not talking about like rewards as in money. Well, I mean, it does, but as in testing and sending your content to more people, the better it does. And it wants to make sure that you're a real person, that you're not AI or that you're a bot. So supposedly, allegedly, que si you drop your posts, meaning how many times per week you post, it throws you in TikTok jail. And in a way, it's kind of like you have to start posting again para que te lo empiece a aventar again and to test it out to bigger people. So I don't want to get thrown into TikTok jail because I think I've worked my ass off. And granted, I've only been doing this. I've only had TikTok for 6 months. I don't even have a personal page. So I'm always mindful and careful of that. I post one time a day. I was posting at the beginning like 3 times a day and sometimes 2, but I couldn't keep up with it because I was running out of things to say, and I'm not going to post just to post, right? So anyways, so then I posted that and I let it go porque me fue a dormir or whatever. So right now that I'm looking at the analytics right now, y'all, that post is at 10,156 views. It brought me 5 new followers. It has 783 likes, 174 replies, 5 reposts, I guess, and 43 saves. But here's the thing. This is what I put in. I put, it's okay to gatekeep our cultura, right? And then I know it's exciting when we see Latino culture being celebrated or talked about, but not everybody should be coming to the carne asada and stuff. And what I meant by that is that, I don't know how to say this because I don't know if this is going to make sense, that sometimes when we're so eager, right? Because we're still, even though like Latinos are like big, I guess you could say, we are still really ¿cómo se dice? I just had it, se me fue. We're still not represented enough when it comes to the media. Like, for example, like Chicanas or Chicanos, it's always like the lowriders, las cholas, LA. And I think about this all the time. Like, a Bay Area Chicano understands and gets it, but a Chicana or Chicana from East Oakland may not feel represented in that way, or a Chicana or a Chicano from Mississippi or Chicago. Don't get me wrong, everybody understands and knows lowrider culture. Even if you don't participate, like, you kind of get it, like, you know, the history or whatever, right? And así es como lo representan, or the spicy Latinas or whatever. So I kind of meant as in, like, for example, las aguas frescas. Remember, y'all, when white women were taking that and calling it spa water? Ahorita lo que traen en chingas es la agua de Jamaica, calling it refreshing water or refresher water or something like that. And they make it, and I think someone added me and said that they're calling tostadas flat tacos. Y ahorita lo que traen, the dot cake, a lot of people are saying que it's just another variation, I guess you could say, of the pan dulce that we have. Other Latinos are defending and they're saying que no es cierto because it's different textures, esto y que el otro, right? So just shit like that. And then you have the Rachel Rays of the world cooking these authentic and Mexican food, and we know that that's not the case. The reason that I said that also too is because you guys have to understand, like, I know you guys get it, but a lot of people don't seem to understand that there's still a lot of white people, a lot of other minorities that maybe have never been around Latinos for whatever reason, and there's nothing wrong about that. It's maybe just where they live. Que no hay Latinos around them, or if there is, like, really small, whatever, and they're watching Rachel Ray, or they're watching the fuckery, lo que están haciendo con agua de Jamaica, or other stuff, and they think that that's authentic. Selling huaraches, Mexican huaraches, for $80. You guys know those colorful, I don't know what they're called, pero las bolsas de mandado, that with the bright squares que son like pink or like red or lo que sea that you see and stuff. Kate Spade a couple years ago was selling a bag like that. I think it was like $30 to $60 or $80 at one point. I'm not kidding. And it's not even like you can say, oh, it's inspired or whatever. Pero like la estaba vendiendo, and I was like, what the fuck? I sent it to my sisters, and I even commented. It was an ad. So yo no sé if they pulled it or ya no está, but I was like, how does this work? Like, and then gente se enoja when the culture's not being represented correctly. So that's kind of what I meant. And then people no entienden. From there, people started talking about Donald Trump, about Catholics, because someone had commented, well, if you're a Trump supporter, you're not invited to the carne asada. And then someone was like, what are you talking about? Most Latinos vote conservative because of Catholicism. And then some people were saying that you're gatekeeping and it's not a good thing. Well, if you're going to gatekeep, it's not gatekeeping you. Son los pochos that like to gatekeep. De una cosa se fueron a otra. So I just got to the point that because you can't pin comments. So I just said, hey, y'all, thank you everybody so much for engaging, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, or kind of in between. Thank you for engaging. I'm not replying anymore because I've had their posts I want to nurture and stuff. And obviously I still get alerts that people are replying. I had a couple of black people say that we're stealing that from the cookout and stuff, like how they say you're invited to the cookout. And then I was just like, this is not like la gente, like, yeah. So I know some people are going to be like, dude, you're taking it too personal. It's just social media. Yeah, maybe. But you guys have to understand too that I'm having a lot of traction right now. And it's not that I'm overwhelmed in a sense, but at the same time, it's like yo estoy tratando de hacer una comunidad for us, like for us first-gen Latinas. So I'm trying to reply to keep everything engaged para que se fijen that I am trying, to have that conversation with you guys. But then, a lot of it was like, man, y dije, fuckatela, I just left it alone. So with that being said, the other one that I'm fucking shook, y'all. So when was it? It was 3 days ago. I literally posted, and this is stuff that's still posted. No lo quité ni apagué los comments. I just left it alone. It says, First Gen Latinas, for those of you who decided that motherhood wasn't for you, how old were you when you came to that conclusion? And then I put me. Never say never, but no. I knew since 13. I know, hella random and young. Y'all, looking at my analytics, I was tripping balls. It has 13,912 views, 631 likes, 440 comments. Ojo, some of them, well, I replied, so I don't know then if it's 220, you know what I mean? Because I tried to reply to all of them, pero se me fueron unos, I'm trying to go back. No reposts, but 60 saves. And you guys, I am so happy because it's a really personal question. Y yo some girls just put 13, esto y que el otro. Some of you guys replied and told me why, con lo que crecieron, lo que vivieron. And I was like, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. I was so happy. I feel like if I wasn't so tired and if I wasn't so in my feelings, meaning just frustrated and just cansada mentally right now, that I would be hella crying because I'm like, this is what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm like, finally, I feel like what I'm trying to build is making sense, because I'm going to say something, y'all, and I've said this before, and there's nothing wrong with this because I know que yo les estoy preguntando heavy topics, right? Heavy stuff. And I don't expect y'all to tell me your guys' business de tu familia, right? Why you guys don't set boundaries, que mi mamá, que mi papá, que my sisters, my brothers, que I want no contact, que esto, que el otro. And if you do decide to share, thank you so much. But I also try to be mindful because it's heavy duty stuff. You guys are what we call quiet lurkers. That means that you guys will engage, meaning you repost. Maybe you'll say something very light, but that's it. Because we were taught not to share feelings. We were taught to clean. A lot of us are breaking that in whatever that may look like. And sometimes you have to build trust con las personas. And some people don't look at it that way. I don't care. I'm going to share. Acá with social media, me vale madre or whatever, right? But some stuff that I do ask is heavy duty. And I try to be mindful and respectful of that. But it was crazy, y'all, because so when I asked that question, right? How old were you when you came to that conclusion? And I was just curious because I thought low-key I was kind of weird at 13, because if you think about it, that's the start of teenage years or lo que sea. And I know you guys are going to be like, that is kind of weird or not. Yo, there's when I say this, there's no judgment, okay? So I'm looking at the comments. Some of y'all were telling me que 7 años, 5 años, años, I was like blown away. I was like, what the fuck? But it makes sense because I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of taking care of our siblings, whether you're the middle child or the first daughter or lo que sea. Like, I was blown away. And then some of you all were thinking about it and then had something happen, or no, it just grew older. You're like, nah, this isn't for me. Some of y'all are married and decided that wasn't for you. But I do want to say something that I understand why society says that, oh, I decided that, for example, I don't want to be a mom at 13 because I'm selfish. I like my time and everything. Y'all, quiero que no les laven el coco when it comes to that anymore, because I used to say that. And then I thought about it and I was like, nah, fuck that. If anything, we're selfless. We know that how can I say this? We know the responsibility. And I'm not shaming other women who don't do it. I'm not, because sometimes just life happens and you just roll with the punches, right? Pero there's someone, I'm trying to look for it, but I'm not going to be able to find it because I literally have to and then I'm not going to be able to record. Someone said that they thought about their mental health, and I was like, fuck yeah. Someone said that and I'm so happy. Yeah, because mental health is such a big component. Let's keep it real. And a lot of people either don't say it or they agree or don't care. When it comes to motherhood, even if you have a supportive partner or support or whatever that means to you, toda la chinga is for the girl. Let's keep it real. The actual pregnancy, like being pregnant, the mood change, the body changes, postpartum. There's some people that go through postpartum depression and they don't even know, right? They don't understand. La cuarentena. And what happens also to your relationship with your partner, like he may have to go back to work, or you may have to go back to work too. Y esa culpa of leaving and ojo, when I say all this, I'm not anti-marriage, I'm not anti-kids, but I want y'all to realize que así también nos vende the society of not talking about that. But no, fuck that. Toda la chinga is for the girl. And let's keep it real. Sometimes people no tienen their village and it's needed, and unfortunately it can be available, but you have to pay for a night nurse. And our culture, you don't really do that. I've seen some Mexican creators that they have a big following, and obviously they can afford it, and they always talk about it. They talk about privilege because it is a privilege. They said que la maternidad ahorita se la están pasando hella good because they have the help, but they also know that it's a privilege because if they didn't have the help, they know that, they wouldn't be struggling in a sense because they have a sister and a mom, right, that can help them out. But she says that she's able to sleep and have a better sleeping schedule because she has a night nurse. She has someone to help her during the day que le está ayudando with teaching her stuff, right? About not breastfeeding, pero le está ayudando en otros aspectos, to have someone come and clean the house, someone that can come and cook so the girl can just focus on her and the baby. I feel like if whoever wanted to have kids can have that type of support, I think it would be way easier in a sense, and they would have more girls who want to be moms. And some other people talked about having miscarriages, and from there on they were like, yeah, this isn't for me. Some people chose to get married and just travel and get their degrees, and I was like, fuck yeah, because let's keep it real. Sometimes it is a privilege to be able to have that space and think about things from a different perspective and be like, okay, do I want to be a mom? Yes or no? And sometimes a lot of us feel como que that's you have to hurry because, oh shit, the next thing you know, I'm 40. Well, como van a estar the quality of my eggs, this or that. Or maybe you thought about it too late, and unfortunately you can't have kids anymore, so you carry around that guilt. So it's not just about being pregnant, there's a lot to think about. But I was so shook and I was so happy because I'm like, this is why I'm we should talk about things. And I know it's a heavy subject, and maybe for some it wasn't. They just were like, I knew at 13 and that was it. But all of you who wrote and answered the question with detail, thank you so much. And also too, sometimes when I reply with a heart or thanks for sharing, is because de veras no sé qué decirles. So don't think I'm just kind of brushing you guys off, or that I'm just being generic, because I don't have all the answers. If you're talking about loss, or you have a miscarriage, or you have a trauma in your childhood, heavy duty trauma, and you decided to share that, thank you, but at the same time, I don't want to be insensitive and start asking you questions, because I know there's ways to word things, but I don't want to be like, hey, so do you want it? También, no soy mamona. I'm not going to be like that either. But thank you to each and every one of you who shared. I'm still tripping out because I'm still getting alerts that you guys are like replying. And then the most recent one that I did is about I did it today. I did it like 3 hours ago, and it's first gen Latinas. What expectations were placed on you that you never agreed to, but still feel pressured to meet? So what I did is I just put me, and I just put my career, because I put my illness totally remixed everything, all aspects of my life. For the past 10 years, off and on, I worked in the staffing industry. I started as like a front desk, and I worked all my way up to like a recruiter or a sourcer, whatever, a staffing, like inside the staffing agency. And obviously that's done and over with. And I was thinking, okay, so I have a bachelor's degree in the criminal justice area. I was like, but what can I pivot to? Because I don't have experience, and I'm not going to commute to the actual like Bay Area. Para que me paguen bien poquito for a case manager, it doesn't work, right? Because a lot of the times they need someone fast, at least the places that I've interviewed, and I just don't have the experience, because I've gotten feedback, which is surprising because a lot of companies don't give feedback because they don't want to get sued or for legal concerns. And they're like, yeah, you interviewed great, but unfortunately we don't have time to train you. And I'm thinking in my head, well, if you know I didn't have the experience, ¿por qué me hablaron, right? But whatever. And I'm like, what can I pivot to? I'm not trying to be a CO. No offense to anybody that is in law enforcement. I just don't want to do that. A correctional counselor, yes. But I was able to talk to a correctional counselor, like a supervisor, and he told me that they prefer people who have worked with inmates in the past, because from there it might be like an easier transition. And I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be a CO. And a lot of those government positions like law enforcement, to do the background check, dura un chingo, and you have to get all your employment information, and and then they have to do like a polygraph test. And some of the positions I'm talking about here in California, you have to do the post certificate, go to the police academy and all that stuff. And pues no nada que ver, right? So I'm like, nah, I can't go that route. Same thing for probation. Obviously I don't qualify for parole. So I'm just thinking, like, what pivot could I do? I don't know if any of you guys who are older millennials are in that. I'm going to be 40 in January. And I'm like, in the part, I guess the expectation that I haven't been able to shake off is that a lot of people my age are already doing their pivot career. They're starting their second career. I have no idea what to do. And I'm job searching right now. And it's crazy because I wake up in the morning to like 4 or 5 emails of rejection, which is fine. I don't get butthurt, because I think being in the industry for so long, I know how it goes. If anything, I'm just grateful que they me rechazan y ya. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. No me aferro at a job that even if I think I'm a good fit for, because of the fact that if I get rejected or if it's a no, I thank God. For real. And I talked about this in the job hunting guide that I made. It's still available if you guys are interested. It's in the Beacons page. It's free. That ¿por qué nos aferramos a un trabajo that we don't even know if it's for us? Meaning we don't know if we're truly going to be a good fit, the environment, the staff, your supervisor, and the actual job. Sometimes we're so upset, we get pissed, and then it wasn't even for us. Sometimes too, when we apply for jobs, no ponemos atención. There's been so many jobs in the past that I've applied for, and then looking back, I get rejected, and I'm like, when did I apply? And I go back and the job post is still available, and I'm like, why did I apply for that? Or sometimes too, because I'm in the North Bay area. So for all of y'all who don't know, it's the North Bay, East Bay, South Bay, and the Peninsula, and like the kind of like the Greater Bay Area. And I'm like, am I really going to commute to Frisco an hour and 10 minutes, pay for parking, and pay for the Golden Gate Bridge? I think the Golden Gate Bridge soon is going to be like closer to $10. Ahorita como está el gas, the cheapest I've seen in town is $5.98 or $8.99 or something like that. I'm like, come on, let's be so fucking for real. Like, come on, you know? But anyways, I'm getting hella tracked. But yeah, those were the posts on social media that I was tripping balls. I was like, this is so cool. Sometimes I don't know what to ask you guys. But I want to talk about things that the next post that I wanted to talk about is actually money, like where you're at with your relationship with money. What's been working for you money wise? What's something that you're struggling with? What's something that you're improving? And what's something that you completely had to stop? I know there's a lot of people with student loan debt. I'm one of them. So kind of how you're handling it is, are you penny pincher? How do you save? Do you not save? Do you have money, like for how they say, like para una emergencia? Because supposedly, allegedly, the average American doesn't even have $1,000 saved up for an emergency. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I wanted to talk about that for a little bit. Our relationship with food, I wanted to talk about that. Our relationship with ourselves, like at future episodes. Just, you guys DM me stuff. Someone did post that they wanted for me to talk about the being the first daughter of immigrant parents, algo así. And I replied to her, and she's so sweet for requesting that, because I could totally talk about that, but it's not going to be a true experience, because I'm the second. I'm not the firstborn. But right now, because I live with my parents, in a way, now that role is kind of mine, which is crazy to think. But yeah, it's mine. So I can't talk about it for a little bit, but no puedo at the same time. I try to be responsible what I say, because I don't want to be giving y'all wrong information too, you know? So yeah. Anyways, and something too that I wanted to talk about is books. I want to start reading again. I have like credits, like unos 4 credits on Audible. I posted about this and you guys are answering me. So I had posted about first gen Latinas who love to read. Are you a fiction or nonfiction reader? And I put that I'm nonfiction only. I don't know why I can't get into fiction. No sé por qué. I'm just team nonfiction, and some of you guys recommended me a book, and I'm gonna definitely check it out. Okay, so something that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I don't know if this is, maybe you guys cannot relate, pero facatela y les va. So there's a good possibility that my ass is in, ready? Dun dun dun. Estoy en perimenopause, y'all. There's a big possibility, and I don't have an appointment with my OB until the end of next month. So that's why I'm trying to give you guys lo que sé, but I think I am. So I started for these last couple of months, or not even, like maybe the last 6 months, but it hasn't been consistent until these last 3 months that I started to get night sweats, y'all, during my period. Night sweats, my insomnia went through the roof. Kind of hot flashes, and my periods were like 5 days, 4 days. Usually I'm at 3-4 days, and they were hella heavy, and I was like, what the fuck? I have a period tracker on my phone that just tracks how many days I get it. So I messaged her on Friday. I forgot it was a holiday. She got back to me. I got a message that I had a message, and I forgot until I read it. And she's like, yeah, I think so. I'm gonna have my team give you a call. They never did, so I scheduled it. And she told me to sign up for a menopause class. Even though it's peri. And I called it, when I messaged my doctor, just being ignorant, I put premenopause. And it's perimenopause. And I was like, what the crud? I'm only 39 and a half. What the fuck is going on? So apparently, and I'm reading this off of online, okay? So perimenopause, which I already knew what it was, kinda. Pero perimenopause is a transition phase before menopause, when your body starts winding down its reproductive years. And I was like, oh shit. I mean, in a way, I don't really care, because I mean, like I said, never say never, but I don't want kids, y'all. So I was like, shit, I was like, okay. It says that what it is, it's basically when estrogen and progesterone levels start to fluctuate and declining. It leads up to menopause, which officially, when you're gone 12 consecutive months without a period. When it happens, usually starts in your 40s, but can start as early as your mid-30s. It can last anywhere between a few years to about 10. And I was like, damn. And then it says symptoms, all over the place and different for everyone, but most common include irregular periods, longer, shorter, heavier, lighter. I'm still normal, but some of them are heavier and some of them are shorter and longer. But I haven't lost them. And this is TMI, sorry, y'all. Hot flashes and night sweats. I was like, ding, ding. Sleep problems. Hell yeah. a week before, during, and maybe a couple of days after, my insomnia's through the roof, y'all. I'm falling asleep at like fucking 2-3 in the morning, and I'm not even waking up like way later. I'm waking up still at 7 or 8. Those days I'm hella tired. Sleep problems, mood changes, anxiety, irritability. For me, irritability through the roof. Brain fog, no. Fatigue, not really. Lowered libido, no. Vaginal dryness, no. Weight changes, especially around the midsection, no. Hair thinning, no. These are just some, y'all. And obviously talk to your OB if I'm like making you go think like, oh shit. But then I thought about it and I was like, except maybe for like the hot flashes and stuff, sometimes you can experience it. It doesn't mean that you're going through it. But then again, what do I know, right? And it says the tricky part is that you can still get pregnant during perimenopause. So if that's not the plan, contraception still matters. And I was like, well, no, I'm not trying to have kids. It says what helps? Lifestyle like sleep, exercise, and diet can make a difference. Some women do hormonal therapy. Others do herbal or supplemental routes. Worth talking to a doctor, especially one who actually specializes in this, because a lot of general practitioners underdiagnose it or brush it off. And I was like, oh, well, that's great. So I have my menopause class. Sorry, that's just, and if anybody's going through menopause, I'm not laughing at y'all. I promise I'm not. I'm just laughing at myself because I was like, what the hell? That's so random. And it just sounds funny to me because let's not kid ourselves. A lot of people, like, cuando piensan en menopause, piensan que ya la gente ya más grande, right? So I have that class like next week on Monday or Tuesday. I'll give you guys an update, even if you guys do or don't care. But ahí les digo cómo me fue, what I learned and what didn't learn. Because I guess this class is going to cover everything from pre all the way to when you have it. It's about 2 hours. And I was like, well, at least I don't have to pay for it. I don't have a copay or anything. But yeah, so a ver qué me dicen. So much for being a really short episode, y'all. We're about to hit 43 minutes, pero this was fun because of the fact that it wasn't scripted, pero still I don't know about that, y'all, because I went from one thing to another. Anyways, I think for the hobby, y'all, I think I'm gonna probably go volunteer. Ever since I saw those beagles get rescued, when I see like the pobrecito, los perritos hella like running around or feeling so scared that they just touch grass for the first time y se quedan como little like statues, they won't move. That shit broke my heart. Where I live, unfortunately, we don't really have a yard, so I couldn't bring a dog and like foster it, and it's a lot of hard work to like foster it and stuff. I would totally do it if I had the space for it. But yeah, anyways, yeah, I'm rambling. Okay, so thank you to each and every one of you who stopped by. I can't believe this is almost 50 minutes. So much for being hella short. Sorry, y'all. I hope you guys like this episode. Don't forget to check out other episodes. So if this is the first time listening, I have hella episodes on different topics. The very first episode, like looking at my analytics, it's really about the grief of unmet expectations, right? Tengo about envy, why Latino culture is so obsessed with fat women. Tengo de Mexicans versus Chicanos, not in a separating type of way, but if you're first gen Chicana, listen to that and tell me if you can relate to anything that I said, yes or no. Anyways, I'm rambling. Don't forget to follow the pages. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy that you guys are replying to my questions because sometimes I do overthink. And I'm like, dude, maybe estas morras ni les importa que yo estoy acá, like, a ver si they interact with my stuff, and you guys do care, so I'm so happy. Which I was going to ask y'all, no sé todavía, because this is just an idea that it's been floating, acá la traigo on top of my head. If I created a community off of social media, would you guys join for like $10 a month? I'm still like thinking about it and stuff, and I don't want to say too much because it's not going to make any sense if I try to explain it. Pero if it was like a place where we could talk about things that matter, like if I brought like specialists to talk about certain things one time a month or una vez a la semana or something, would you guys join? I was just curious. Anyways, cuídense mucho and I will catch you guys next week. I am going back to Mondays because this dropping on Thursdays is not working. Me está sacando de onda. Like I just can't. But anyways, I hope you guys like this episode and all my rambling. It's going to be a light edit. And yeah, es lo que les puedo dar. Sorry, chicas. Take care, and thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Follow on Instagram and on TikTok at the Crees Muy Muy Podcast. Y las veo next time. Bye.